Money has a way of turning family into strangers. I learned this truth while crouched behind our kitchen door, listening to my parents plot the death of my future. Emily's startup is our best chance at securing our retirement, my mother said. Lauren will understand. My father's sigh carried the weight of resignation. But her college fund, we promised. Emily has real potential. Lauren can take out loans or go to community college. Sometimes we have to make hard choices. I pressed my palm against my mouth, trapping the bitter laugh that threatened to escape. Of course they'd choose Emily. They always did. My perfect older sister with her business degree and startup dreams, while I was just Lauren, the backup child, the contingency plan. We should tell her tonight, my father said. No, let's wait until after Emily's presentation on Sunday. Lauren tends to get emotional, and I don't want anything spoiling Emily's big moment. I slid down the wall, my legs giving out beneath me. 10 years of straight A's, debate team captain, early acceptance to Princeton. None of it mattered. They were going to take my college fund, everything I'd worked for, and hand it to Emily like it was nothing more than spare change. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Grandpa Henry. Still coming over to help with the garden? I typed back a quick yes and forced myself to stand. My legs felt wooden, disconnected from my body. As I grabbed my keys from the hook by the door, my mother's voice drifted out again. It's not like Lauren has any real plans. Emily's the one with vision. The keys bit into my palm as I clenched my fist. No real plans? I'd been planning my escape from this family since I was 12. Now they were making sure I'd stay trapped here, watching Emily succeed while I withered in her shadow. I drove to my grandparents' house on autopilot, my mind racing through calculations. Without my college fund, Princeton was impossible. Student loans wouldn't cover enough. My part-time job at the library barely paid for gas. Grandpa Henry was waiting on the porch, his weathered face creasing into a smile. There's my favorite gardener. I tried to smile back, but something must have shown on my face because his expression shifted. What happened, sweetheart? They're giving my college fund to Emily, I said, the words tasting like ash. For her startup. They haven't told me yet, but I overheard them. His face darkened. Karen and Michael are doing what? Apparently Emily has real potential and I can just take out loans. I yanked a weed from the flower bed with unnecessary force. Or better yet, settle for community college. Like hell you will. Grandpa Henry's voice had an edge I'd never heard before. Your grandmother and I didn't spend 40 years building this family for them to throw away your future on Emily's pipe dreams. I looked up at him, dirt crumbling between my fingers. What can we do? It's their money. It's their... A slow smile spread across his face, reminding me that before he was my gentle grandfather who loved gardening, he'd been a corporate lawyer who never lost a case. You let me worry about that. For now, focus on playing your part. Let them think you don't know anything. Why? Because sometimes, Lauren, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting ahead. He patted the soil around a new rose bush. And trust me, by the time we're done, your sister's startup won't be the only thing blooming this spring. I stared at him, understanding dawning slowly. You have a plan. I always have a plan. He winked. Now, help me with these roses. We've got work to do, and not just in this garden. For the first time since overhearing my parents, I felt something other than despair. It was small, sharp, and dangerous, like the thorns on Grandpa's prized roses. But it was also powerful. It was hope. The family dinner table had become a war room, with Emily's startup plans spread across it like battle maps. My calculus homework balanced precariously on the corner, pushed aside for the third time this week. Lauren, could you get more coffee? Emily didn't look up from her laptop. Mom, these projections show we could triple our market share by Q2. I poured the coffee, watching the steam rise. 3 days had passed since I'd overheard my parents' conversation, and each moment felt like walking through a minefield of lies. That's wonderful, honey. Mom leaned over Emily's shoulder, beaming. Michael, come look at these numbers. Dad shuffled over, his reading glasses perched on his nose. Impressive. Though I'm not sure I understand all these technical terms. That's why you have me, Emily said with her trademark smile. Trust me, this is going to change everything. I set the coffee pot down harder than necessary. I have a calculus test tomorrow. Could we maybe clear some space? Oh, sorry, sweetie. Mom gathered a few papers, creating a tiny island amid Emily's sea of documents. But isn't it exciting? Your sister's going to be the next big tech entrepreneur. Yeah, exciting. I opened my textbook, pretending to study while watching Emily's face. She was good, really good. If I hadn't caught her practicing her investor pitch in the garage yesterday, repeatedly stumbling over explanations of massive losses, I might have believed her act too. Actually, Emily said, closing her laptop, I wanted to talk to everyone about something important. She took a deep breath. I think I should move back home for a while, to focus on the business. Mom clasped her hands together. Of course, we can convert the study. My study room? I interrupted. Where I do all my schoolwork. Well, you could use your bedroom, Mom said. Emily needs a proper office space. The pencil snapped in my hand. Right, because my academic future isn't as important as Emily's business venture. Lauren, Dad warned, but his voice held no real authority. No, it's fine. Emily reached across the table, touching my hand. I know it's a lot to ask, but think of it this way. When the business takes off, I'll be able to help with your college tuition. The irony of her words felt like acid in my throat. I pulled my hand away. I'm going to Grandma and Grandpa's. Now? Mom frowned. It's a school night. Grandma's teaching me to make her special lasagna. The lie came easily. For the family dinner on Sunday. Emily brightened. Perfect timing. I'm presenting the full business plan then. The whole family should be there to celebrate. I grabbed my keys and textbook, leaving the rest of my homework scattered across the table. As I drove, my phone buzzed with a text from Grandpa Henry. Stopped by your sister's office today. Interesting what you find in public records. My heart raced. I pressed the accelerator harder. Grandma Martha opened the door before I could knock. In the kitchen, she said, her eyes knowing. Your grandfather's waiting. Grandpa sat at the kitchen table, a folder open before him. Did you know, he said without looking up, that your sister's company hasn't paid their employees in 6 weeks? What? He slid a document across the table. 3 lawsuits filed last month, plus an eviction notice for their office space. She's not just failing, Lauren. She's burning through money trying to cover it up. And my college fund is next. The reality of it hit me fresh, along with Mom and Dad's retirement savings. Grandma set a cup of tea in front of me. The question is, what are you going to do with this information? I stared at the documents, my mind racing. Sunday. She's presenting everything to the family on Sunday. If I expose her then, you'll humiliate her, Grandma said softly, and possibly destroy your relationship with your parents. They destroyed that when they decided my future was worth sacrificing for her lies. The words came out sharp, surprising even me with their intensity. Grandpa gathered the papers back into the folder. Sometimes the hardest part of revenge isn't getting it. It's living with the consequences. I wrapped my hands around the warm teacup, feeling the weight of the choice before me. I can live with the consequences. The question is, can they? Sunday arrived like a storm front, dark and inevitable. I sat in my grandparents' kitchen, watching Grandma Martha put the finishing touches on her lasagna, while my phone buzzed with increasingly frantic texts from Emily. Where are you? Everyone's waiting. The presentation starts in 30 minutes. Mom's asking about the lasagna. I switched my phone to silent and pulled the manila envelope from my bag, spreading its contents across the counter. Employee complaints, bounced checks, eviction notices, Emily's house of cards documented in stark black and white. You don't have to do this today, Grandma said, wiping her hands on her apron. Actually, I do. I gathered the papers back into the envelope. Emily's meeting with potential investors tomorrow. Once she gets Mom and Dad's money, she'll burn through that too. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Emily's Mercedes in the driveway. My stomach clenched. I'll get it, Grandpa Henry said, but Emily was already letting herself in. Lauren, what are you doing? Everyone's waiting at the house. She stopped short when she saw the envelope in my hands. What's that? Funny story, I said, keeping my voice steady. I was going to ask you the same thing about those unpaid wages and lawsuits. The color drained from Emily's face. Where did you... Public records are fascinating reading. I pulled out the eviction notice, especially when you know where to look. Emily closed the door behind her, her charm falling away like a discarded mask. You don't understand. The company's going through a temporary cash flow issue. Once we get the new investment... You mean Mom and Dad's retirement savings? I can fix this. She stepped forward, reaching for the envelope. I just need time. I moved the documents out of her reach. Like you needed time the last 3 rounds of funding? How many investors have you burned through already? You're going to destroy this family. Her voice cracked. Is that what you want? That's rich, coming from you. The laugh that escaped me didn't sound like my own. You're taking their future, Emily. Everything they saved, my college fund. I'll pay it back, once the company... There is no company. I slapped the eviction notice down on the counter. It's over. The only question is how many people you're going to drag down with you. Emily's face hardened. So what's your play here? Expose me at the family dinner? Humiliate me in front of everyone? She leaned in close. You really think they'll choose you over me? The words hit their mark, but I didn't flinch. This isn't about choosing sides anymore. This is about stopping you before you destroy everything. Lauren! Grandpa Henry's voice cut through the tension. Your sister's right about one thing. This will change the family forever. The family changed the moment they decided I was disposable. I picked up the envelope and Grandma's lasagna. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly what they're sacrificing for. Emily grabbed my arm. Wait, please. We can work something out. For a moment, I saw past her perfect facade to the desperate woman beneath. The sister who used to read me bedtime stories, who taught me to ride a bike, who somewhere along the way had lost herself in the need to be perfect. You're right, I said softly. We could work something out. You could tell them the truth yourself. Hope flickered in her eyes. And then what? Then you face the consequences, like an adult. No more schemes, no more lies. She released my arm, stepping back. I can't. Then I will. I walked past her to the door. Are you coming? Emily smoothed her blazer, her mask sliding back into place. You're making a mistake. No, I said, thinking of all the years I'd spent in her shadow, all the dreams I'd been told to sacrifice. I'm finally fixing one. As we drove separately to our parents' house, I thought about Grandma's words from earlier. Sometimes the hardest part isn't getting revenge, it's living with the consequences. But as I clutched the envelope containing Emily's secrets, I realized something else. Sometimes the consequences of staying silent are harder to live with than the price of speaking up. The family dinner turned into a wake for my conscience. Mom had arranged Emily's presentation materials at the head of the table, like some corporate altar. Dad poured wine. Grandpa Henry and Grandma Martha sat quietly, their presence both comforting and condemning. The manila envelope burned in my lap like a loaded gun. Before we start, Emily said, standing with practiced poise, I want to thank everyone for their support, especially Mom and Dad, who've always believed in me. I watched her hands shake slightly as she opened her laptop. The perfect Emily, coming undone at the seams. Lauren? Mom called from the kitchen. Help me with the plates? In the kitchen, Mom busied herself with serving dishes. I know you're upset about the college fund. I gripped the counter. Do you? We're doing what's best for the family. She touched my shoulder. Emily's success will benefit everyone. The irony tasted like acid. Did you even look at her business plan? Your sister knows what she's doing. Mom's voice carried that familiar note of dismissal. Now please don't make this dinner difficult. I returned to the dining room where Emily was mid-presentation. Projected growth rates suggest we'll break even by Q3. Interesting, Grandpa Henry interrupted, his lawyer's voice cutting through Emily's pitch. Those numbers seem optimistic considering your current situation. Emily's smile flickered. I'm not sure what you mean. The lawsuits, for instance. He sipped his wine. 3, if I'm not mistaken. The room went still. Dad lowered his glasses. Lawsuits? Minor contract disputes, Emily said quickly. Everything's under control. Like the eviction notice? The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. What eviction notice? Emily's face hardened. Lauren, don't. Or the unpaid employees? My hands shook as I pulled out the documents. Should we talk about them too? That's enough! Emily slammed her hand on the table. You have no right. No right? I stood, scattering papers across the table. You're stealing my future, and I have no right? Lauren, Dad started, but I was beyond stopping. Look at the documents. All of it. The lawsuits, the bounced checks, the empty office space. Your perfect daughter is running a shell game, and you're her next marks. Mom reached for the nearest paper with trembling hands. Emily, what is this? It's not what it looks like. Emily's voice cracked. I can explain everything. Please do, Grandpa Henry said softly, starting with where the previous investments went. The room spun with accusations and denials, Mom crying, Dad reading documents with growing horror, Emily's desperate attempts to explain. But something felt wrong. The victory I'd imagined tasted hollow. Then Emily said something that stopped everything. You think you've won? She laughed, a broken sound. Go ahead, destroy my reputation, but I'm not the only one with secrets. She turned to our grandparents. Tell her about the trust fund, Grandpa. The one you've been hiding from everyone. My world tilted. What? Grandpa Henry's face went pale. Emily? Your college fund was never in danger, Lauren. Grandpa set up a trust for you years ago. He just didn't want Mom and Dad to know because he thought they'd try to access it for me. She smiled bitterly. Isn't family wonderful? I turned to my grandfather, the one person I thought I could trust completely. Is it true? His silence was answer enough. I was protecting you, he finally said. By lying to me? Letting me think I was about to lose everything? The betrayal cut deeper than anything Emily had done. You watched me tear apart the family over something that wasn't even real. The trust doesn't change what Emily did, Grandma Martha interjected, or what your parents were willing to do. No, I said, gathering the scattered documents. It just means everyone in this family is really good at lying. I walked out of the dining room, past Emily's triumphant smirk, past Mom's tears, past Dad's confusion. The revenge I'd thought would taste sweet had turned to ashes, poisoned by the revelation that I was just another player in the family game of secrets and lies. The front door closed behind me with a finality that felt like goodbye. 3 days after the disastrous dinner, Emily showed up at my bedroom window at midnight. Her mascara was smeared, her designer outfit wrinkled. She looked nothing like the polished entrepreneur who dominated our family dinners. We need to talk, she said, climbing through the window like we used to do as kids. Mom and Dad are meeting with their financial advisor tomorrow. I kept highlighting my textbook. Sounds like a you problem. They're going to lose everything, Lauren. Her voice cracked. The house, their retirement, everything. Should have thought about that before you lied to them. Emily sat on my bed uninvited. I didn't lie about everything. The company has potential. I just need more time. Time to dig a deeper hole? I finally looked up. Or time to drag more people down with you? You don't understand. I couldn't fail. Not after everything they sacrificed for me. She pulled out her phone, showing me an email. But I have a solution. An investor in Singapore. If you just tell Mom and Dad you were wrong, that the documents were fake. I knocked the phone from her hand. Are you serious? Think about it. You get your college fund back, I get time to turn things around, and Mom and Dad keep their savings. She leaned forward, desperate. Everyone wins. Except your employees, the other investors you've screwed over. Since when do you care about them? Emily's voice hardened. This is about revenge, isn't it? Finally getting back at Big Sister for stealing all the attention. The truth in her words stung more than I wanted to admit. Get out. You know what's funny? She stood, smoothing her skirt. You're more like me than you think. We both lie to get what we want. The only difference is, I admit it. A knock at my door made us both freeze. Lauren? Dad's voice. Who are you talking to? Emily moved toward the window, but I grabbed her arm. No more running. I opened the door. Dad stood there in his robe, looking older than I'd ever seen him. His eyes widened at Emily's presence. What's going on? Family meeting, I said. Now. In the kitchen, Mom sat with papers spread across the table. Bank statements, investment documents, loan applications. Her hands trembled as she poured coffee. The Singapore investor, Emily started. Doesn't exist, I finished. Show them the email, Emily. Show them how it bounced back as undeliverable. Mom's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. Is this true? Emily's facade cracked. I can fix this. I just need more time. Dad's voice was quiet but firm. More money? More lies? I did it for you, Emily shouted. To make you proud. To be the successful daughter you always wanted. We never wanted, Mom began, but I cut her off. Yes, you did. You always pushed her to be perfect, to achieve more. And when she couldn't live up to it, she started lying. And you believed her because it was easier than admitting you were wrong. The silence that followed felt like glass about to shatter. Lauren, Dad said softly, about your college fund. Save it. I know about Grandpa's trust fund. I stood up. But this isn't about money anymore. It's about truth. All of it. Emily laughed bitterly. Truth? In this family? Starting now. I pulled out my Princeton acceptance letter. I got in. Early decision. Full ride. Mom gasped. When? 2 months ago. I didn't tell you because I wanted to see if you'd even ask about my plans. But you were too busy with Emily's startup to notice. The weight of unspoken words hung between us. Years of favoritism, lies, and damaged trust condensed into this single moment. So what happens now? Dad asked. I looked at Emily, saw the scared little girl behind the ambitious facade, saw myself in her desperation for approval. The revenge I'd wanted suddenly felt hollow. Now, I said, we either start being honest with each other or we stop pretending to be a family at all. The choice hung in the air like smoke, waiting to either clear or suffocate us all. The lawyer's office felt like a mausoleum. Mom and Dad sat across from Emily and me, the mahogany table between us like a battle line. 2 hours of discussing bankruptcy protection, asset liquidation, and criminal liability had stripped away whatever facade of family we had left. The house will need to be sold, the lawyer said, shuffling papers, and there may be criminal charges regarding the misappropriation of investor funds. Emily stared at her manicured nails, now chipped and uneven. I can fix this. Stop saying that! Mom slammed her hand on the table. You can't fix this, none of us can. The lawyer cleared his throat. There's also the matter of the trust fund. Leave it alone, I said, standing up. That money's for Princeton. Lauren, Dad's voice cracked. We might need it to keep Emily out of jail. The world tilted sideways. You're joking. It's just a loan, Mom said quickly. Once we sell the house? Once you sell the house, you'll have nothing. I looked at Emily. Tell them about the other debts. Emily's silence said everything. What other debts? Dad asked. I pulled out my phone, showing them the email I'd received that morning. 3 more lawsuits filed yesterday, former employees claiming Emily used their personal information to secure additional loans. Mom started crying. Dad aged 10 years in 10 seconds. I was going to pay them back, Emily whispered. The company just needed more time, I laughed, the sound sharp enough to cut. You committed fraud, Emily, identity theft, and now they want to take my future to save you, again. We're family, Mom pleaded. We have to stick together. Family? I turned to her. Where was this family when I needed you? When I got into Princeton? When I won the state debate championship? When I... That's different, Mom interrupted. Emily needs us. And I didn't? The lawyer cleared his throat again. Perhaps we should take a break. No. I pulled out my Princeton acceptance letter, now worn from being carried around like a talisman. I'm done taking breaks. Done waiting for you to notice me. Done sacrificing everything for Emily. Lauren, please, Emily reached for my hand. I know I messed up, but I jerked away. You didn't mess up. You lied. You stole. You destroyed our parents' future, and now you want to destroy mine too. We can figure something out, Dad said weakly. Maybe defer Princeton for a year? Stop. My voice shook. Just stop. Emily's been manipulating you for years, and you let her because it was easier than admitting you failed. Failed her, failed me, failed as parents. The words hung in the air like smoke. Miss Lauren, the lawyer said gently, the trust fund is legally yours, but accessing it now could help minimize the family's criminal exposure. The family's exposure? I stood up, gathering my things. There is no family. Not anymore. Where are you going? Mom's voice was small. To pack. I'm moving in with Grandma and Grandpa until Princeton starts. I turned at the door. And the trust fund stays where it is. Emily made her choices. Now she can face the consequences. Lauren, wait! Emily called after me. I stopped but didn't turn around. You know what's funny? I wanted revenge so badly, wanted to make you all feel as small and insignificant as you made me feel. But now, I looked back at them one last time. Now I just feel sorry for you. The elevator doors closed on their protests, their pleas, their tears. As I walked through the lobby, my phone buzzed with a text from Grandpa Henry. Did you tell them? I typed back, yes, it's done. His response came quickly. Come home. Martha's making your favorite lasagna. Home. Not the house where I grew up, not the family that had betrayed me, but a new home, with people who saw me for who I was. The revenge I'd wanted had come at a terrible price. But as I drove away from the lawyer's office, leaving behind the wreckage of my first family, I realized something. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying others. It's about saving yourself. The for sale sign in front of my childhood home looked like a surrender flag. I sat in my car watching Emily load boxes into her Mercedes. 2 weeks had passed since the lawyer's office, and the world had shifted on its axis. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Please come inside, we need to talk. I almost drove away, but Grandpa Henry's words from breakfast echoed in my mind. Sometimes closure matters more than victory. Emily spotted me first. Lauren, what are you doing here? Getting the rest of my things. I walked past her, key in hand. The house smelled different, like cardboard and desperation. Mom and Dad sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by moving boxes. An envelope with my name sat between them. We sold the house, Dad said unnecessarily. Got an offer yesterday. Congratulations. I reached for a box labeled Lauren Books. Wait. Mom pushed the envelope forward. This is for you. Inside was a check, a large one. What is this? The house sold for more than we expected, Dad explained. Enough to cover most of Emily's legal fees and, well, we wanted you to have your share. My share? I laughed. Now you want to be fair? Lauren. Emily appeared in the doorway. Don't. I turned back to our parents. Keep your money. I don't want it. Please. Mom's voice cracked. We're trying to make things right. Right? The word tasted bitter. Emily commits fraud, destroys your retirement, and nearly ruins my future. But you still tried to take my trust fund to save her. That's not something you can fix with a check. I'm going to jail, Emily said quietly. The room went still. What? 6 months. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Part of a plea deal. The judge, he made an example of me. Something tight in my chest uncoiled. Not satisfaction exactly. Something more complicated. Good. Lauren! Mom gasped. No, she's right. Emily stepped forward. I deserved it. All of it. But before I go, I need you to know something. She pulled out her phone, showing me an email. I got this yesterday, from Princeton. I snatched the phone. The email was from the Dean of Admissions, responding to Emily's confession about trying to sabotage my acceptance by claiming I'd cheated on my SATs. You did what? I was desperate, Emily whispered. But they didn't believe me. They checked everything and... They said your application was one of the strongest they'd ever seen, that you earned your place. The room spun. All this time, while I'd been fighting for recognition, Emily had been actively trying to destroy my future. Get out! My voice shook. All of you, get out of my way. Lauren, please. Mom reached for me. We can still be a family. No. I stepped back. A family doesn't do this. A family doesn't try to destroy each other. A family... I looked at each of them in turn. A family sees you, supports you, loves you without conditions, like Grandma and Grandpa did for me. We do love you, Dad protested. Maybe, but you loved the idea of Emily's success more. I picked up my box of books. I'm going to Princeton. I'm going to build a life without your toxic expectations and Emily's manipulation. And if you ever try to contact me again... You'll what? Emily challenged, a flash of her old self showing through. Expose us? Ruin us? We're already ruined. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt something close to pity. No. I'll succeed. I'll thrive. I'll be happy. And that will be revenge enough. The silence that followed felt like freedom. I walked out of that house for the last time, leaving behind the check, the tears, and the broken remains of what we'd once called family. My phone buzzed again. Grandma Martha this time. Dinner's ready when you are, sweetheart. I smiled, starting my car. Emily would go to jail. My parents would rebuild their lives without their safety net. And I would go to Princeton, carrying with me not the weight of revenge, but the lightness of liberation. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about becoming exactly who you were meant to be, despite them. Princeton's iron gates loomed before me as Grandpa Henry's car idled in the drop-off zone. Move-in day had arrived with the weight of endings and beginnings. Last box, Grandma Martha said, handing me a small package wrapped in brown paper. Don't open it until we're gone. A commotion near the entrance caught my attention. Through the crowd of freshmen and parents, I spotted a familiar figure, Mom standing awkwardly with a gift bag. Did you invite her? I asked Grandpa Henry. He shook his head. She called yesterday, asked where you'd be. I told her it wasn't my decision to make. Mom saw us and started walking over. She looked different, older, more uncertain, wearing clothes that spoke of discount stores rather than designer boutiques. Lauren, she stopped a few feet away. I know you said not to contact you, but why are you here? She held out the gift bag. Emily asked me to give you this before she went in. I didn't take it. How is she? Scared. Humble, finally. Mom's hands twisted together. The house sold. We found a small apartment. Your father's working again at the hardware store. The gift bag swayed between us like a pendulum. What's in it? I don't know. She sealed it. Mom's voice cracked. Lauren, I know we can't fix what we broke, but maybe we can build something new, something honest. Grandma Martha touched my shoulder. We'll give you a minute. As they walked away, I finally took the bag. Inside was a single envelope containing a letter and a key. Dear Lauren, the key is to my safety deposit box. Everything's yours. The patents, the legitimate research, the client lists. Maybe you can make something of them. Something real. I thought success meant being better than everyone else. Better than you. I was wrong. Success is being true to yourself, something you understood long before I did. I'm sorry for trying to sabotage your future. Sorry for being the sister who tore you down instead of building you up. Sorry for making our parents choose between us. Don't forgive me. Don't forget. Just succeed. Be brilliant. Be free. Emily P.S. The guards let us watch TV sometimes. When you win your first debate championship at Princeton, I'll be watching. The key felt heavy in my palm. She's trying, Mom said softly. It's not enough. I know. She stepped back. But when you're ready, if you're ever ready, we'll be here. Different, but here. I tucked the letter and key into my pocket. I have to go. My roommate's waiting. Of course. Mom turned to leave, then stopped. Lauren, I'm proud of you. Not for your achievements or Princeton or any of that. For your strength. For knowing your worth when we forgot it. The words I'd always wanted to hear, arriving too late to matter, or maybe arriving exactly when they should. I watched her walk away, then opened Grandma's package. Inside was a small garden trowel, the one I'd used that day in their garden when everything started unraveling. A note fell out. For planting new roots, love, Grandma and Grandpa. My phone buzzed with a text from my roommate. Where are you? Room's half empty without you. I looked back at Mom's retreating figure, then at the trowel in my hand. The urge to call her back, to try fixing what was broken, rose up like a tide. But some things, once broken, shouldn't be fixed. They should be rebuilt, differently, better. I walked through Princeton's gates alone, carrying Emily's key, Grandma's trowel, and the weight of choices made and unmade. The revenge I'd sought had transformed into something else. Not forgiveness, exactly, but understanding. Understanding that sometimes the greatest victory isn't in destroying what hurt you, but in growing beyond the need for destruction. My roommate waved from our window. Ahead lay 4 years of possibilities, unmarked by my family's expectations or Emily's shadow. I stepped forward, leaving the gift bag behind, but taking with me the key to something new. Not redemption. I wasn't ready for that. But possibility. Sometimes that's enough.